Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Creative Curiosity podcast. What episode are we up to now?
5, I believe.
Episode
Episode 5. Yes.
God damn.
It's gone quick.
Well. We're
It's
doing
gone
well,
quick.
aren't we?
5 episodes in 2 or 3 months.
I know.
I mean, it could be quicker, but it's good.
We're
Working at
We're
a
getting
good
there.
pace. pace.
Yeah, definitely. For those who don't know who we are, my name is Timothy Telepis, your first host.
And I'm Anthony Themistocles, the second host. I just butchered my second name.
Absolutely.
Anthony
butchered that.
Themistocles.
How did you?
I don't know how I butchered it. I'm nervous. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm actually sweating
But yeah,
bullets here.
we are Creative Curiosity, talking everything life, arts, and all those little gaps in the middle as well, you know, in our general life. And that's what we aim to do here, is to have conversations with lovely humans, creators, Timmy, artists, across all ranges, all fields. We bring you musical episodes, film episodes, you know, maybe an author sometime as well. Whatever it is, whatever artistic field it is, I can't think of all of them right now, but there are some examples of what we might bring to you throughout this experience.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. We've definitely perfected that.
We've
I think.
definitely perfected the
The
intro.
first one was just
The
disgusting.
fans were just like, what is this? Where's the structure? What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, got a few complaints, so we had to fix that one up.
I hope fans, you can enjoy that intro now.
Mm,
It's better.
much agreed.
It's getting better.
But how's your week been? It's been well?
Yeah, it's been good. We shot yesterday as well, and as a teacher, I'm on school holidays, so it's nice to just relax, and just do a few things that you need to do. A bit of life admin. I heard that call from someone, and I took it from them because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Life admin. You know, you just do like normal admin, but you do life admin.
Yeah.
Looking after the car, looking after the house, all these other types of things. Just being busy, which is nice. What about you? How you
Yeah,
been?
not too bad, to be honest. I mean, I could be better, that's for sure.
Been doing well.
Definitely a rough patch in life in general, to be honest. But
Yes, those the fluctuating moments of life, Timothy. They all just come and go.
yeah.
It's the way it is, my friend.
Well, I certainly hope today's conversation can spark some joy into
Spruce
the
up.
world. We have a very, very special guest. When I thought about the podcast, when we thought about starting this, I had a particular person in mind to come on as a guest from the very beginning, because we've sort of grown up together in like high school, and we've discovered this creative world and this passion for film as well. And this guy himself, he's a very passionate filmmaker.
Yes.
Even throughout high school and moving on beyond that, I feel like in the best way possible, he was always like a step ahead of me, and it was always good to look ahead and have someone to sort of chase or drive me to keep going and keep motivated in the creative world. So welcome on the show, Jordan Benjamin. Thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. This is really cool, by the way, guys. I was just saying to Tim the other day, like how nice it is to have a creative outlet like this podcast, not only for you guys as hosts, but also for the guests, but most importantly, the audiences as well, and how
Correct.
you know, they can learn a few things or two from other people's experiences in life, which I reckon is great. So this is very cool, and thanks for having me.
Just like looking at his like, you know, sort of credentials, and like it's like
Credentials.
The credentials. Yeah, credentials, man. Credentials. He's like the quintessential guest, you know, filmmaker, you know, he's got a lot of experience in photography as well. So it's like I think, as you said before, like when we created this podcast, that person is the person we probably wanted to interview, I guess.
Yeah, there's always those one or two
That
people
one
that
person.
you have in
Yeah,
mind.
yeah,
that
they
you're
have in
"Damn,
mind."
That'd be absolutely perfect. And today's the day.
Yeah.
They're here. So Jordan, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
But yeah, I think we should start off. We'll start from the beginning, and I think it's
The very
a good way.
beginning?
The very beginning. And
Beginning of life.
the beginning
Evolution. We're starting evolution, are we?
yeah,
The Big Bang Theory. We're starting the Big Bang.
But it's always good and interesting to hear how creatives fell into their world, and maybe what was like an initial moment, or maybe something that sparked that interest. Or how did you fall into this creative world? Were there any major influences that you grew up with that resulted in this?
Yeah, well, if I was to go back to the very beginning, I always tell everyone this whenever I'm explaining like how I got into film. The very first film I've ever watched in the cinema, my first movie-going experience was Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I was 7 years old, and that was the very first film. My dad just brought me to watch that film, and I still remember it to this day. And that just started like, yeah, my whole journey with film. 7 years old, watching that movie in the cinemas, scared shitless because The Return of the King was fucking intense, you know? I didn't realize, is this a swearing podcast?
I mean,
that
if you feel like you need to drop an F-bomb here and there, Jordan, brother,
Just
you
bleep
go
it out.
natural,
I just
brother.
Just let it go, man.
You just
You
let
know,
it fly.
that's just kind of like
We're not rigid here. You just let it fly, brother. Continue.
But yeah, no, yeah, my dad brought me to watch that film, because it was towards the end of December. My birthday is on December, so I just turned 7, and yeah, that was kind of like where it started. And then my dad would brought me to watch movies every single weekend. But my dad loves he loves action films, and he loves James Bond and like the, sort of like those spy films. Because after that, I remember watching Mission Impossible 3. That J.J. Abrams directed.
Yeah.
That was amazing when I watched that in the cinema. But, you know, like from a perspective of like a kid watching those things, I was just mesmerized. But yeah, that kind of like started the whole thing. And throughout primary school, I've always had interests in drama. And then I did a little bit of drama class. And I remember my first play was The Wizard of Oz. And I played as a wizard. And that was really cool. Just kind of like performance kind of like piqued my interest a little bit. And then, you know, like throughout then, like it's always on and off. Like I don't think that knew that I was going to be a filmmaker by then, but I've always had that interest. And I remember like watching Indiana Jones, and that was kind of like one of my favorite movies at the time. I love Steven Spielberg. I love his movies. He has a very, what would you call it? Like he like his themes, like his thematic elements in his movies are very geared towards family, and just yeah, just the idea of childhood upbringings. Like E.T. is a great example of that as well. And just the fantastical worlds of fantasy and sci-fi, and just basically yeah, out of this world kind of thing. And that's part of the movie going experience, like just watching movies like that. Yeah, and then yeah, like I wanted to become an archaeologist because of Indiana Jones. That was like one of the things. Uh and then I had an interest of wanting to become a scientist and an architect at one point as well. But it wasn't until I think around year 6 when my dad brought me to a like a summer camp sort of thing, but it's like a photography summer camp. So I got like a little point and shoot. It's like a Canon little point and shoot. I don't remember what it's called, but that was my first camera, and I just started taking photos. And then I think that was during the period when Instagram was born, I think, and I just started using Instagram. Just started posting photos on Instagram as well, and then that kind of like started my whole hobby with photography, I guess. And then from there on, I think once I went to APC, and that's how I met Tim. I think around year 7, year 8, that's when I decided or really thought about wanting to become a filmmaker or film director. And then from there on, I started reading a lot of books, watched obviously a lot of movies, even the classics. Like I love Billy Wilder's movie. I don't know if you guys know any of his movies. Sunset Boulevard's really great. Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe, amazing film. The Apartment, probably his quintessential film, with Jack Lemmon. And wait, I have to be correct on that. I think it is Jack Lemmon. But anyways, help me out here, guys, because I think I'm kind of like going through my past a little bit, and I don't know really where. Well, I guess going into high school, this is where I met Tim,
Yeah.
and that's how we come to know each other. So
Look, I'll just chime in there. You can
Please.
already tell how passionate this guy is.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
So many
just
experiences and journeys.
I know.
I feel like
love
I can't really condense it. I'm so sorry. Like
No,
I
no,
felt
no,
like
you
I
just-
felt like
no, no.
I'm missing something. But yeah. Anyways, that's kind of like the rough sort of like.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. Anyways.
What's really interesting is that you started quite young. I feel like compared to us, where we sort of developed and discovered it quite late.
Yeah.
Whereas you, 7 years of age, and you were automatically just in love. And I guess that's the power of film as well.
Correct.
The fact that just a character on a screen was able to just completely change your mindset and change, like, you want to be an archaeologist, and you're just
Because of
unbelievable.
What's also
Indiana Jones.
interesting is how, like, what I'm like thinking as you were speaking, like how impressionable we are as kids. Like, because I see it all the time because I do teaching on a full-time basis. So what I mean by impressionable is how you tell them something, or if they watch something, they want to become that. And like when you were watching like Indiana Jones and all that archaeology and all these types of things, and you know you want to be a scientist. So it's interesting how these experiences that you watch when you're so young inform
Yeah, they
inform
really shape
you. They really shape you, you know, and it molds you as a person. So it's just about how I think we're so impressionable as kids. And that's
But-
the idea I took from that.
No, that's a great point, and I completely agree with that. But also, it's just the fact that how powerful film can be in inspiring others as well. And I feel like that's kind of like the impact film has on people, especially as kids, like you said. So yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
What a nice little intro. That was
Yeah.
perfect, man. That was great.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So moving into high school, then that's where we met, and we sort of connected over that film genre, I guess. And definitely there's so many memories that we have studying in studio arts and exploring with photography and film and things like that. And I feel like that's where we really connected, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was I was thinking about that when we actually met. I can't remember. It was media class in year 10 or something like that, or was it earlier than that?
Yeah, I think it was quite later on.
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest.
what I was
It was
thinking. Year
quite- it
10
was
is
gradual,
kind of yeah. And it was in media class, and I think was Z in that class as well.
I didn't do media actually.
You didn't do media.
No, I didn't.
So it must be studio arts.
It must have been.
So that's year 11.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Quite late
really
on.
late. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
crazy just how fast we just, I guess, connected and become really good mates that way, right?
Yeah.
I think studio arts. Well, I think we connected with photography mainly.
Yeah.
But also we talk about movies, and remember, I think our favorite film at the time was Lost in Translation.
Yes, it was.
How much we love that.
Man.
Have you?
I have, but a very long time ago. I need to probably rewatch it.
It's great. It's amazing. Yeah, she recently directed another movie with Bill Murray as
Yeah,
well.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
Yep.
I think that's what it's called with Rashida Jones.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on the
I
watch- I
haven't
love
watched
Rashida
that.
Jones. It's
Yeah.
on the watch list.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have to
she's
watch that one.
amazing. I think it was just kind of like talking about that, and I know we have the same celebrity crush as well, Chloe Grace Moretz,
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
and of course Scarlett Jo.
Scarlett Joe, yeah.
Scarjo, yeah.
But it's interesting how just relating in something as simple as arts, I guess, whether it's music or film or literature, a book or something. But and that's how we met in high school.
Yeah, I'll always remember this one moment. Again, we're talking about this, Jordan being such a passionate film buff, you could say, film fanatic. We were in the middle of class, and we're all gathered around, sitting down, waiting for the tutor.
I think I know exactly what you're gonna
And
say.
the Oscars were on during that time.
Oh,
Anyway, we're we're on our phone, just keeping an update. Jordan just
I was watching the live
he was
stream.
watching the live stream on his phone. And what was the nomination, or what was the award given out? Do you remember that specific?
I can't remember. Was it Leo DiCaprio or something?
I'm not sure.
I'm not
It was
sure.
something extremely surprising, and you could just hear it was complete silence. And Jordan goes, "No!" and yells out in the middle of class. Everyone's just silent, just staring at him. I'm just like,
The passion.
Oh my god,
The sheer passion.
It
The
was
passion.
what a moment! I'll always remember that. Jordan, could you elaborate on that? Like,
Well, no. It's interesting you mentioned because I completely forgot about that. But as soon as you mentioned, I was like, I know exactly the moment. I think it was in studio arts class.
Yeah, it was studio arts, yeah.
And Miss Vodarakas
Miss
was not
Vodarakas,
too happy when I
she
did
was
that.
not at
She
all.
destroyed me after that. She was
Oh,
like, "Yep."
man.
Well, actually, before we move on to that, because high school was, I'm sure it's a pivotal moment for quite a lot of people. And just shout out to APC because Mr. Howard, media class,
Yep.
they did an amazing job with that. The fact that they catered towards creatives, which I admired and very thankful of that. They have a really good media class course, I guess. And same with studio arts. And shout out to APC.
Definitely, much agreed with that one, that's for sure. I agree.
Produced a lot of fine young specimens, eh? Timothy Z
man.
from episode 2, who we love, and
Yeah.
and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Go APC. Maybe I should get a job there. I should apply there. We need some more guests, for the future, so we can keep this podcast alive, fans. Please,
Definitely.
it'd be good.
Yeah, man. So moving on, you've obviously during high school, you've already, as you said before, you had this dream of directing or doing cinematography or working in the field of film, and so leaving high school, you decided to leave Melbourne and
Yes.
make the trek to Sydney to
Yes.
follow this dream.
Yes.
So maybe if you could just elaborate on that process and I guess some of the challenges you faced, maybe being alone or starting fresh and in a new state.
Yeah.
yeah, fully committing yourself, because I feel like when you really want to do something, you have to take a risk in some way or another. And I feel like this is such a big move. So maybe you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, well, as soon as I finished high school, I know I've always wanted to go to film school.
Yeah.
And I had one film school in mind. It was VCA at Melbourne Uni. Well,
Melbourne
they
Uni.
did a collab, Melbourne Uni and VCA, Victorian College of the Arts.
Yep.
And that was kind of like the big one in Australia. It was like one of the big ones, especially for creatives. But unfortunately, their course only allows 13 students to come in for undergrad. Highly selective.
Wow.
Highly
Do you
selective.
need like a good resume to get into that course, or
Well,
is that what
I
it is?
applied, hoping that I would get in, but yeah, came back with got rejected pretty much, and that took a big hit because after that I didn't have the best ATAR in the world, and that's another thing. Like in high school, I am the worst student possible because I was just doing like other shit, which is pretty much film. That's kind of like all my focus. I hated studying in a way, but when it is in my interest, like media or studio arts, I loved it. So anything else I just couldn't focus because it wasn't just I didn't gel with it pretty much. I got rejected from VCA, and their reasoning was they really liked my application, but the fact that they are looking for a lot more mature students. Students have been probably just in their early 20s. I just came literally straight out of high school, 18 years old, fresh out of that. So got rejected, and I didn't know what to do. And I mentioned my ATAR before. It was because the other really good university for that is Swinburne, but you need like a 94, 95 or something, and I wasn't close to that. So there was no way I can get into that. Swinburne was a really good university as well for film. They have a great film course, and the other option that I looked at was RMIT. So I applied to RMIT to do a diploma course, and I did that for about 3 weeks, I would say, until my dad, who recommended me to apply to this university called AFTRS, the Australian Film, Television, Radio School up in Sydney. They're branded as the National Film School because a lot of the alumni are insane. The best one I could mention is probably Andrew Lesney, who shot all the Lord of the Rings movies
Wow.
and the Hobbit movies. He graduated from that. But the thing about AFTRS and the difference between AFTRS and VCA is catered more towards creatives, whereas AFTRS is a very technical course. It's more towards catering towards the technical side of film. And I applied to AFTRS like not knowing that I would get in, and at this point like I didn't really care. And I almost gave up pretty much very early on, literally straight out of high school. December comes, the application comes out, and I woke up literally in the morning. I had my phone right next to me, and I saw the email, and I got in. And that was probably like that kind of like changed everything, and I was super excited. But then there was the issue of moving to a different city, moving to a different state, and that was a whole nother process, a whole nother step, and that was really difficult. And like going back to my first inspirations and all that, I would say my dad, because my dad has been very supportive, and my mom as well. They've been great parents in that regards. Like I wouldn't be here without them, and I'm just very appreciative of that. The fact that they're very supportive. It's actually really hard because my mom didn't like the fact that I'm into arts and film, and she's the complete opposite of that. My dad as well, but my dad kind of understood that if you follow what your interests are and you're kind of like your passion, it's probably a good thing to do, and just to manage that and understanding that, which I'm very appreciative of. So so I went to AFTRS, and I missed the first 3 weeks of AFTRS because obviously I was at RMIT, so I missed the orientation day, and I missed the first 2 weeks of classes, and that was hard because at that point everyone kind of like already knew each other. 3 weeks, like you'd have like a couple of people who'd already talked to each other, and I just kind of like came in out of nowhere. And it's funny because one of my good mates in Sydney, Julian, he's from Melbourne, and I've met him before in Melbourne through so I did a foundations course in year 12 at VCA. So it's basically just a 1-year course on the basics and foundations of film and television. Julian did the year before that, and I met him during this event where the newer students watch the past year students' films.
Yeah.
And then I saw his film, and I really liked it, and I just yeah, came up to him and said hi and just complimented his film, blah blah blah. And then, not knowing that I would ever see him again, then I saw him at Afters just sitting down, and I just waved at him, like, hey man, like I think I'm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then from there on, like, yeah, we became really good mates, and then from there it became a little bit easier because I think first year of uni is always like that fresh kind of everyone's just very excited because it's something new and all that stuff. And yeah, and that's kind of like the story of how the very beginning of how I got into film school, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, I hope that, I don't know.
What a journey. Nice journey.
That's kind of like the first part of that. But yeah,
The peaks and troughs of the art life, eh? Like that's what I was thinking of the whole time. It's like, didn't get in. Oh, got in. You know what I mean? Like it's just the up and down of the creative.
well, I think that was kind of like my first foray into understanding of what it feels like to be rejected. Yeah, and definitely, like, because this is my 5th year now in Sydney, and there's a lot more of that where I had to, yeah, there's moments, yeah. Anyways,
Well, it's good that you sort of experienced that quite early on. I feel like it's better later than earlier than later
sure,
on, because then you have that experience.
It's got a lot more weight, I think. When
of
you
feeling
get older,
rejection, you can overcome that, and I feel like you're better prepared for when you actually within the field and have to deal with that. But yeah, that's wow,
Very
really
nice.
interesting journey.
Yeah, and it's a very, very ballsy thing to do, move into a different state and a city, especially as a very young 19. What have we, 18, 19 you were?
yeah, I was 19.
19, no family, this, that. So I would find that pretty challenging because you sound pretty connected to your parents and your family.
Yeah,
so there's that's that big disconnect. It's like the pursuit of it is pretty, it's revealing. It's hard for the person, isn't it? But yeah, what an incredible job you've done. In 5 years now, you've been there. Half a decade. That's insane.
Yeah.
It goes so quick here. You don't even realize it. It's just,
man.
before you know it, you've been there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So in regard to the actual course, you said it's quite technical.
Yes.
So, and I feel like you're very conceptual and narrative based type filmmaker, I would say. So what was it like going into that and learning the technical aspect of things, and how is that? Maybe now that you've finished, what were the main sort of key points or things that you took away from a study formal setting? Because a lot of people tend to like to work hands-on, I guess, and in the field and not in a study type formal setting. So I feel like, yeah, what did you take away most from your study time, and how would you apply that into your own work?
Afters is a course. It's very broad.
Okay.
And very general, because they're assuming that the students know nothing about film. And that was quite frustrating for some of us because, some of us are very passionate and we kind of knew what the basics of filmmaking are. And then once we come in, the first year of uni was pretty much just like going through high school again. There was a lot of content that was very basic and very broad that literally you could just search in Google and just YouTube and do in your own time. And it's funny because a lot of that we actually learned through media class in high school, just that first year of uni. And that was quite frustrating for a lot of us because we want to excel. We want to go a step ahead and try and, I'm not going to say innovate because that's very wanky, but we just want to try out different things.
Yeah.
Whereas Afters didn't allow us to do that because they want everyone to be in the same level playing field.
Wow.
And that was quite frustrating for some of us because we just want to keep going. We just want to keep doing more stuff. And because of that, it allows us to, we just realize, fuck it, we're just going to do that in our own time outside of Afters. And a lot of us did that. A lot of us, we make our short films, music videos outside of that. So it's funny because, the practicality of doing things, in film, like, is very important just by doing it. Rather than sitting in a class, looking at theory, it doesn't help at all, I would say, in film, because it is very practical. And, there is the side where it's the creative side and the conceptual side of film and the more artsy side. But that comes from within yourself as a creative.
Yeah.
And no one can tell you how to do that. That's something that you have to learn and go through via experience. And so the first year of uni was very broad, and it was quite frustrating for us. The second year got a little bit better. First semester of second year, it was just all documentary, and that was really fun because that's when, everyone just kind of like, they flex a little bit and they were a little bit more comfortable with, I guess like trying out different things because documentary is such a free flowing form and there's so many different formats to documentary, and everyone just experimented with that, and that was great. And like, I came into afters wanting to write and direct. That was kind of like the main thing I want to do. But it was very interesting because by the end of the first year, I kind of scrapped that altogether. And I shifted my focus into cinematography. And that stems from my background in photography as well.
Yeah.
And I've always loved, like one of the things I love about film is the visual aspect of film. The fact that film is a visual medium is what piques my interest the most. I as much as I love the importance of story, the aesthetic side, I appreciate as well. And I think it's very important to have good, I guess, production value. A lot of people say it's not, but I would reckon it adds so much to it. It really does. And so throughout afters, literally up until I finish, cinematography was kind of like the main thing I focused on. That's kind of like, throughout afters, that's kind of like the main thing
Like
I
it
did.
changed, your passion sort of changed. Not like the passion changed, but like the interests
Well,
changed
it's
a
kind of
little.
like just going through a different pathway, because that's the thing with film. There's so many different pathways you can take. If you want to become an editor, there's editing as well. But see, as a film director, it's very important for you to know all of that. And I feel like it actually wasn't like, I didn't feel like I lost time or I felt like I was behind doing cinematography, because I actually learned a lot more about directing, from shooting other people's films, and learning how other people direct and their own experiences and their ideas and how they are as filmmakers, because everyone does have a different take in anything really, when it comes to storytelling or their own experiences when they're expressing themselves really. I don't know, that's kind of like
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, brilliant.
Not too much to
Cinematography, yeah, that's what an element it adds to. That's probably the most important award for me that when I watch the Oscars and stuff, like best cinematographer. It always hits me in a nice spot because like you, we can appreciate. I think us people can appreciate that. Like it's not easy to just get a nice shot. Like you don't just put it, like we were speaking about before, an RELX or a red just there and place it and expect it to get a good shot. Like the technical aspect of it is so goddamn challenging to get right. And we were even watching a few video clips before and we were just marveling over the shots, the textures, the colors. It's just so hard, so challenging.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about cinematography, because it's literally a mix between knowing the creative side of it, but also the technical side, which is very important as well. It has to be a balance between both. It can't be more than the other, I feel like, from my experience at least. Yeah.
And so, outside of uni and even now, you are doing some work on real live sets. So
Yes.
working for, is it more of a commercial side, or are you doing like narrative short film work as well?
Well, like you don't. It's very rare that you find work in short films. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
very hard to do that. Because short films, they barely have any budget and all that kind of stuff. And usually, like you do it for free and
Yeah,
you just
okay.
help each other out.
Yeah, sure.
But yes, I'm very lucky with the fact that I was able to have some experience throughout uni when I was studying, working on some film sets, but mainly commercials. And I worked on a couple of feature films as well. It's actually really funny because towards the end of my first year at uni, I worked on a feature film called Setting Up for Sunny. It's on Stan, and the main cast, the main actor was I forgot his name, and it's so embarrassing. But he's Walter's son from Breaking Bad. You know Walter Jr. Yeah.
I'm not sure his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name as
Incredible.
well. Yeah,
So in the same set.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, he's a really cool dude, and it was just like an indie Aussie comedy movie. It's like rom-com comedy movie. But that was like my first like proper I guess big set. That was like 5 weeks.
Oh, that's so cool.
5 times a day, 10 hours, and it's funny because in that period of 5 weeks, I've learned more than I did in that whole year of uni. It's insane just by being on set.
So that money, just in your uni course, just like you've learned that in 5 weeks.
I know,
That's insane.
and it sucks because
we
when
just
I
get
was
milked. We get milked, don't we, boys? In these courses, eh? Sorry.
no, it's funny because when I was working that, I didn't get paid at all for 5 weeks and just working like 10-hour days,
Wow.
and that was just kind of like starting that, and I thought that after that I was going to somehow I thought I did a relatively good job, and I thought I was gonna get work after that, but I didn't for a little bit. And yeah, just now currently working as a camera and lighting assistant, mainly in commercials. Yeah, and that's what I do at the moment.
That's paid for?
Yeah.
That's great,
Yeah.
man. On this film, were you helping the DP? Is that what you were
So
doing?
I was in the camera department. I got in as a camera attachment. And then it's funny because halfway through the shoot, they decided to bring a second camera in, and that automatically put me as this second assistant camera for the main camera, because the first assistant camera for the main camera goes to the second camera and operated that. Yeah, so I pretty much just got bumped up and to a second AC credit in a feature film, which is pretty nuts. For my first year at uni.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was a bit of a trip. And then yeah. And then oh man, like yeah. In terms of work, that's kind of like what it is. Like commercials. What else? I can't really think on the top of my head at the moment. But yeah, there's some stuff. I worked on a documentary feature very recently, as a PA/camera assistant, because PA is basically production assistant and just running around grabbing things for everyone else. But then I told them I have experience in the camera department, and they were like, "Oh, we actually need a hand in that." So I was doing a little bit of both. It's a feature documentary on the 2019-2020 bushfires. So we just went to different locations up in New South Wales to see the affected areas, and just interviewing subjects as well, which is really interesting. That was kind of like the last, in terms of like major like narrative feature, I guess, film that I worked on. But yeah, that's kind of like the gist of what it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
So many the value of just being hands-on in set is just off the charts. As you just said, the amount you learnt in 5 weeks compared to a year of uni, it just shows the power of being involved and being in the industry and networking and just learning from other people. And yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, nice work. That's so cool. Working on I think it's always everyone's dream who's into film is to be on a film set, like a proper film set, like just to embrace the insanity of it, the whole thing. It just seems like such an insane place to be. Like there's just a million things happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow.
Were there any major like takeaways from working on that set in the commercial setting that you could use for your own work? Were there any major like eye-opening things that stood out to you that you discovered?
Yeah. Well, coming in as an assistant, you're pretty busy on set. Like you're always like on the move. But there are downtimes where I would like to just chime in on what the conversation the director would have with the actors and the DP and all the other heads of departments. And it's just interesting to see that and just learn from that, just how they interact as the head of creatives, and especially as the film director as well. So there is a little bit of, I guess, mini crash courses that you would get in working on film sets if you pay attention. Some people, I know a lot of people that just literally work, like they just want to become an assistant, and that's just what they want to do, and that's completely fine, because it is an amazing spot to be in, and it's very comfortable in a way as well, because it is like you do reach kind of like a ceiling at one point, and then it just kind of like goes stale from there. So it's always interesting to see how other department works, like even just talking to other heads of departments, like the production designer, because I feel like production design is very important, and it's not really talked about as much, because the relationship between the production designer and the cinematographer is very important, because they are the ones who are creating the look of the film, and it's just always interesting to see how they both interact. Like the DP would talk to the designer about moving some aspects of like that pot plant for starters, moving it a little bit, I don't know, but yeah, just stuff like that.
Yeah, the finer details.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Lovely.
Anything?
No, that's what a fascinating. Thanks for sharing that, because, like I said, as someone who's always sort of dreamed of being on a film set, yeah, like as I mentioned just before, that sort of that mania that comes with all those conversations that people have just to get everything right, and how, how many retakes they must have, and how I feel like as a person who's on the set, you become so desensitized to what the movie finally becomes by the time you watch it. As a viewer, we watch it and we're blown away by it. But when you do something so many times and you reshoot, I sometimes see why directors are so hypercritical of their work, or even DPs or anyone who works in a film set can be so critical of themselves, because they know how long it took to get there, But we just watch the final product and we're just blown away by it. But the amount of effort to
so many moving parts,
so many things, like to happen. That's a 5-week set for a little indie. I'm thinking of like with Spielberg before, those blockbusters. How long would that take, and how much time and effort, and how drained would everyone be by the end of it?
Yeah,
they'd be so over it,
No, exactly, because Thor is being shot in Sydney at the moment, and that's like a 4 to 5 month process of shooting. And I like,
5 months.
yeah, I know, it's crazy. Some of my mates are doing that at the moment, and they're contracted for that period.
Goodness.
And and they're fucked because it's just full time, and
So they're working like full shifts, like 8-hour, 9-hour shifts.
Yeah,
Wow.
five times a day kind of thing. Yeah, 5 times a week kind of thing. Sorry, 5 days a week. Yeah. It's interesting because like freelancing in commercials give you like that leeway a little bit, because you would have days where you would have a lot more free time, and you would use that free time to do your own stuff pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
That's
Just a
kinda
little
like the
fun.
gist
I
of
think
that.
the longest film set, well, from what I remember, is Eyes Wide Shut by Kubrick, which was like 12 months or something, nearly a whole year.
Really?
I
Man,
think.
I haven't watched that
I might
film,
be
but I've
might
always
be
wanted
wrong.
to.
It's one of my favorites from him.
Really?
Yeah, I love
Gosh,
it.
okay.
But like, I think that if we're talking like sets, we're talking about like how draining it can be. I think those actors, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, were on the set for literally 12 months. He literally ran them to the ground. Insane.
It's very demanding. It's
So
a high,
demanding.
and like you think about it, like is it worth it in the end? Well, I guess it depends, right? Because you might, because that's the thing. Like a lot of people might be working on a film and they have no idea what the outcome of the film is, and it might be completely
exactly
horrible, or even might not even come out at all. And you put in that amount of effort into something, and then suddenly it's not going anywhere, and you're just like, oh damn. Well, moving on to the next one or something. And it's hard. It's hard.
It's so hard.
Finding the right things to work on. But yeah, at the end of the day, it comes to the story and how well thought out the story is, and how unique or interesting, how different the story is as well. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're after. We're watching for the characters and the story to come to life.
Correct. Wow.
That's really amazing to hear. Interesting stuff.
Such an interesting
I'm like,
concept.
We had this conversation the other day, but
Yes.
you're still sort of discovering in your own work your visual style, I guess you could say, your style of filmmaking. And I feel like that's an ongoing thing and an ongoing discovery. So maybe if you want to just touch on sort of what the plan is next for you as a director or cinematographer, or what's next in your filmography that you're looking to explore, and maybe just talk about the struggle of finding that that aesthetic and that style that you're chasing, or
No, that's always very difficult, because I feel like even at the moment I have no idea what it is, but at the same time, from looking at the stuff that I've done, there is kind of like a certain look.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I really like dark images, not necessarily like like comedy and lights kind of stuff. I prefer, I like darker themes. Like my favorite genre is thriller, horror, and drama essentially, really. Just the, I don't know, like something about the darkest side of the human psyche is very interesting.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
gonna be a soundbite. The darkest side of the human psyche. That was really
And then
cool.
that's why, like, yeah, psychological films where there's thriller or horror, I love. And I was telling Timmy, I recently rewatched both Hereditary and Midsommar, and how amazing those films are. And yeah, the fact that it's just completely unique in that world of horror, and the fact that he was able to make something out of that is amazing. Ari Aster, shout out, you're the goat. Anyways, yeah, finding my style. I have no idea, man. It's I have, yeah, honestly, like I can't really pinpoint what it is, but yeah, at the moment, like I said, like it took me a while. Like I feel like I definitely took a year break from doing anything creative, and that kind of drains me out because I don't have a platform to express myself, and I felt very empty throughout. Last year, 2020, COVID struck, and then it was very difficult to um well, I guess it was just very difficult to really put myself out there and make things, because last year was last year. But yeah, I feel like taking a break a little bit was good, and just knowing, like, finding exactly what I want to do again, because after I finished uni, I was still in that headspace of cinematography, and now I kind of like, all right, well, I want to go back to where I started and my original intention, which is to write and direct. And yeah, I'm excited to I have a documentary that I'm shooting early May. It's a short documentary film,
Nice.
and then a short film by the end of winter. Hopefully, I'll be shooting that as well. But yeah, I'm just excited to get back into I guess the creative realm, and yeah, just making things really. And I feel like that's very important. The just not thinking about the outcome, just put yourself out there and just make as much stuff as you can. And it's hard because I remember just throughout uni, I would, I would honestly would say, like, I felt very insecure about my work, and putting it out there is very difficult. But then I realized it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't, because at the end of the day, you're making this film, yes, for the audience, but it is for yourself in a way as well. Francis Ford Coppola said that, actually. Really interesting take. When he was shooting Apocalypse Now, he said he was pretty much going crazy because he had no idea what he's doing. Then he just kind of like take a deep breath and just remember that, because Apocalypse Now at the time was highly polarizing for a film. Nothing was yeah, it was a completely new thing, and he decided, like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this, and I don't care what the outcome is. And turns out, it become a different thing. So the struggle between, I don't know, it's just a process of making something, and then knowing that is this something that people will like. If you think about it in that way, it's not going to be unique to you, because you're thinking about making it for someone else. And I feel like that's the most important thing as an artist, or any creative really, is the fact that whatever you're making, this is an expression of yourself, and that has to be the main thing, because art is interpreted by others, by audiences, and everyone has different interpretations of what it could be. And it doesn't matter, because what matters is, if you know what your intention is, that's great, because at the end of the day, people will come in, they will trample all over it, or they might praise the fuck out of it. So it depends. Yeah. I guess, man, I still feel like this is like me still finishing high school, and I'm still at the start of my journey. Even up until now, I feel like I've not even started my journey as a filmmaker, and I know there's a lot more to go through. Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head with that one. We always come back to this conversation about the process of creating work for yourself and how it's a personal expression, and yet we're striving to share it with others, and that daunting task of sharing it and receiving that feedback from strangers that know nothing about this.
Yeah. And
we always come back to that, don't
For
we?
sure. Always.
No, it was just very interesting, because throughout uni, it was especially difficult because there was a lot of judgment from my own peers, like from the year, from everyone else.
That
and
surprises me
and it
so
sucks because
much.
you go somewhere where the focus is arts. There's always going to be that. There's always going to be everyone just kind of like dissecting someone else's movie for no absolute reason. But it's the same thing with high school, because I remember before anyone else started vlogging, I started vlogging first.
Yeah, you did.
And I loved it. But it sucks because in high school, there was a lot of judgment towards that, and everyone was making fun of me for vlogging,
Yeah.
and I stopped doing it because of that.
Yeah.
And I wish I didn't. I wish I still kept going, because I would have done that throughout uni, and I would have had, because I wasn't vlogging just for the reason of, oh, I want to become Casey Neistat or David Dobrik. I wanted to just literally what it is, video logging, my day-to-day life, and my friends and family, and just my life in general, because that is what it is. And it sucks that I had to stop because of my own insecurities, that other people are projecting their own insecurities to me as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little bit passionate there about that, because
No,
that was like one thing that kind of fucks me up a little bit.
No, look,
Even throughout uni, with nothing to do with vlogging, but film, which is something I've always wanted to do. And it sucks that hinders me from making the things that I want to do because of what other people think about it. And that's a whole different world that I could dive into. But yeah. I wish I kept going with that, because that was a lot of fun, because I genuinely had fun, and that's the most important thing. But then, yeah, it's hard when external forces comes about. But yeah, I'm going to stop at that before I keep going.
I'll just make a point. I remember that time, and I remember just the vibe of when you were creating those things and like the comments being thrown around. But I think that came about because there was this preconceived idea about all these guys becoming famous or doing vlogging and this and that, and people had this cloned mindset. And I feel like you were just doing it as like a hobby, as a way to express yourself, just getting the camera out and shooting. There's nothing wrong with that. But just because of this preconceived idea of these, famous people getting onto it, I feel like that's what made this cool, and this these comments being thrown around, which is really unfortunate, because I feel like this whole journey throughout uni and high school, it would have been amazing just looking back and seeing all those documents. But man, shit happens,
it's interesting because I thought about that, and that's why I brought it up, because I want to get back into that. Yeah. And just kind of, because I wish I could remember what it is, but there was a really good interview somewhere on YouTube where it just talks about in regards to documenting your process and how important that is, just to look back. By process, like it's it doesn't have to be specifically about how like behind the scenes that you watch in DVD menus of like how films are made, and you could see like the camera following the director around the set and them talking about, oh, this is this part of the set, that kind of stuff. Documenting that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just something good to have. It's something just good to have. Anyways, I'll stop.
No, that's and just like in a bit more of like a more personal note, I love those special features that you used to get in DVDs and stuff. Like I always used to really watch those special features, and like when the director's talking about, I've even watched ones where they narrate the film and they talk about what's happening throughout the whole film.
Commentary?
Yeah, like commentary, which is really, really cool. But no, back to that point about how people, judgments of other people really influence and hinder you. It's true. It's very true. I think as humans, we always want to be accepted, That's a very natural quality, I think. Yeah. Like we want to be accepted by everyone. But then when you think about it, it's like some people like you, some people don't. And it's so hard to discern between that, because we want to be liked by everyone. That's just human nature. Yeah. But yeah, in the arts, it feels so much more stronger, because it's like your ideas getting... Yeah. Like that's the thing that you think about and you create. And when that gets attacked, that can be quite heavy. Wow.
Guys, I think we've come to that time of the podcast. We've come to the favorite segment. We do enjoy this one. It's the lovely what have we been watching lately? But before we get started, I did pose a question to our listeners at home, to the audience.
Fans, hi.
Hello, fans.
Hope you're well. Hope you're engaged so far. It's a good episode with some good ideas. Hope you're loving it.
But yes, I am a bit delayed on this one, but I did post one about a week or two ago, and we got a few responses, so I might just highlight some people that responded and said what they've been watching lately.
Call them out.
We'll do a quick rundown.
Shout out.
One of your good friends, Max Dang, he sent through. He said he watched The Farewell from 2019, starring Aquafina, which is he thought was amazing. So I don't know if
seen that one.
Right.
Yeah, The Farewell.
I have. It's a really great story, and I think it's about grief and very culturally.
I love grief. We love grief here.
Yes, you are a big fan.
How to like process grief, because cultures process differently, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It is all about that. I reckon you'd love it.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been on the menu for a while.
So thank you, Max. A few people from work. We have good mate Anish. Hello, Anish. Happy birthday from the other day. Love you,
Love you,
Ed.
Anish.
He
The
watched.
goat, the goat.
He watched Fast Furious 7.
Wow.
He loves an action
Wow.
thriller.
Loves an action-packed
Loves
thriller.
yeah, he really enjoyed it. And he said he misses Paul Walker.
We all do.
We all do.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Nicolette from work. Hello, Nick. Hope you're well.
Nicolette. Hello, Nicolette.
She watched Money Heist TV show.
Ooh, heard that's good.
I've heard that's
It's a Spanish
amazing.
one, right?
That's
Yeah.
Spanish one about
Spanish,
bank
yeah,
robberies
yeah.
and stuff.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep. I haven't seen it, but I've heard many
not
great
seen it
things.
Talk of the town.
We'll add it to the watch list, guys.
Add it to
Ah.
the ever-growing watch list.
The ever growing. It's never ending.
It's never
it just
ending.
keeps growing and it never gets smaller. So
Nah.
it is what it is.
Tim recently got me into using Letterboxd, which is something
How good is
I
it?
never really thought about.
Yeah, it's cool.
using,
Rating your own movies and stuff.
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah.
flex as well. It's like I've watched this. So you feel like the maddest dog watching, using Letterboxd.
Yeah. Mariah
Mariah.
sent through. She
Mariah.
watched The
Hey,
Order
Mariah.
TV show called The Order.
The
I
Order.
believe it's on Netflix. Very much about, I think, dark magic and very fantastical.
Cool.
Interesting selection. So we'll
Sounds like a
definitely
cool
check
one.
that out for sure. We had one of your mates, Evander.
Evander Jackson, my
Evander
boy,
Jackson.
who's a fan and always chimes in. Thanks, Evander, for always being
Yes.
there. Legend.
He watched Formula One Drive to Survive, a TV show on Netflix. He said he had no interest in F1s before watching this, and I'll quote him. He's like, "How do people like this shit? It's boring as." And then he watched it, and he said the show just completely changed his perspective. And I
Yeah.
very much agree. So like the angles, the camera work, the intensity. I feel like there's so many like drivers and personalities and like teams, and there's battles and there's enemies and there's friends, and it's like a TV drama. So it's really exciting, and all must watch that definitely. Season 3 just
Still have to
came
watch.
out.
I haven't watched it.
on
You boys
Netflix.
have watched it.
It's
You were
amazing.
fawning over it before.
Yeah, if you're not into Formula One, doesn't matter. Get into it. It's really exciting. Don't you agree?
No, I definitely agree.
Jordan
Yeah.
was loving it. Yeah, it's good. I
Yeah.
need to watch it.
And this guy, he's just an absolute.
Oh God,
He's-
are we going there? The fan
Man,
favorite?
We're going back.
Oh, we're going back to
He
the
is
GOAT?
fan favorite.
Damn.
He just keeps coming back.
Oh,
DMs
wow.
every
The
day.
fans cannot get
You
enough
guys
of him.
He's just the favorite. He's just the goat.
Louis.
Can't. Louis.
Your old mate
Ilias.
Louis.
He just keeps doing it.
He just keeps coming
Keeps
back.
goddamn doing it.
Unbelievable. He said he watched Capturing the Freedmans, 2003. It's a documentary, which is, he said it's very thought-provoking, frustrating, and very sad. And sometimes you really think you know people, but it's not always the case. So
Mm.
that sounds really interesting. Thank you for
Yes.
that
It's really
suggestion.
good that 2 documentaries came up.
Mm.
In
Hey,
that-
you're
that
making a
selection.
documentary, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
What a link. That's our first little link there. That's cool.
Yeah. So thank you all to the guests, the audience. Thank you all for tuning in and giving us your suggestions.
Correct.
for-
It's always nice to have that. It makes our life a lot easier and a lot simpler. And we get to connect with you, and we love to connect with people. That's why we do this.
Yeah,
So
and we all
keep doing it,
connect over
please.
films as well. I
Correct.
feel like it's a great way to start conversation. So thank you all, and we will be posting more questions that will be. We love to get your input, because obviously the creative world's a collaborative process, isn't that right, Jordan?
That's very right.
Wholesome.
Very collaborative.
process.
Yes, that is correct. So thank you all again. I guess we'll just go around the room and say what we've been watching quickly. I'll start because it's fresh in my mind.
Yep.
The other day we did a little catch up with Jordan. Went for a cute brunch date and had
Oh, the boys.
had too many
A couple of coffees,
we
huh?
had too many coffees, that's for sure. and
Bit of
just
ex
didn't
Benny,
have-
they reckon.
we
Bit of
had-
ex Benedict.
We had an absolute food coma and just crashed back at his place. And we watched Senna documentary about the F1 driver Senna, which was actually quite amazing.
I'm glad you liked it.
It was all found footage. It wasn't.
Mm.
I feel like I'm not a huge fan of like the documentaries that have the newer, like recently shot like interviews and they're like talking about it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's good. It's
Because-
interesting, but I love just seeing the raw footage.
Yeah.
And I feel like what they did with that and managed to put it together in a documentary and made it so exciting and interesting. It was so well done. 4 out of 5 for me.
I don't understand how they have that much footage.
I know.
Because it feels like they planned everything out.
Yeah.
And
For that, yeah.
yeah,
Like the shots
it's
and how
crazy.
the continuity and everything, it just worked so well.
It felt like a movie.
I know,
It felt like watching a film.
Yeah.
And for a documentary to do that, that's amazing,
Yeah.
I would say.
So like The Last Dance, that's all original footage as well, yeah.
It's a
Oh,
bit
I haven't
in
watched that.
between.
Yeah.
that's a oh, is that, yeah. So there's the original and there's yeah.
original and
Right, yeah.
Jordan, what have you been watching lately?
No, should we go through?
Oh, okay, we'll go
We'll go
skipped
through.
it. We just
What,
skipped
what
it.
did we watch yesterday? That comedy.
Oh, is it Best in Show?
Best in show. So, oh my god, we came after we had some Nando's and we were just kind of tired, and we're just like, let's throw on some random comedy. And we looked up, you know, everyone loves like a Google search of like best comedies. So we looked at this random comedy and we watched this thing called Best in Show. It was like a piss take on like crazy dog owners and how intense they can be. And like, it was all these characters, couples and stuff. And it was just like a whole exploration of over the top, you know, it was like a mockumentary, sarcastic, immature, stupid, but it was so funny. Like the characters were like these larger than life people who were just so stupid and so silly. But it was worth the hour and 30 minutes that it was on for.
Oh,
And it was
unbelievable.
refreshing. Like,
it was.
I think a lot of comedies try and be too clever these days. This was just like, you know, stupid for the sake of being stupid. Not trying to tell too much commentary, which was pretty cool. But it was so enjoyable. That's me.
Yeah, right. Best in Show.
Check it out.
It's
if,
funny,
if
man.
you want to let loose a bit,
It's a bit of a
take
piss
your
take.
mind, take
Yeah.
your mind off things.
Yeah.
Nice
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Jordan.
Well, really, I've revisited, like I was saying before, Hereditary, Midsommar. But other than that, like if it's something completely new I've watched, was probably Malcolm Marie. That was probably the last thing that I've watched. Like that's pretty much new. Yeah, no, that was. I know how much you didn't really rate it, Timmy.
I'm still mixed.
You're still mixed.
I really
Yeah.
don't know. Like, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
no,
you
it was
say your
interesting.
opinion.
It was interesting just talking to you about it. Like,
Yeah.
now I can understand from someone else's perspective how it, like how your view on it could be mixed. But I don't know. Like, I thought it was a great. It really was just kind of like a character study, just between these two, a couple and their dynamics. But I guess one of the best things about that film is probably the performance and how they nailed that. And yeah, I can't tell. Because they shot that through quarantine, through COVID, through that time, and it was just interesting how natural the conversations are. But I felt like they didn't write a script, or maybe they did, because I don't know. It felt very natural.
It
and
did,
just very free flowing, But yeah, it was I rate it. It was kind of artsy, but yeah, black and white. You shot on film.
Yeah.
Something cool there. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't know. It was good.
Yeah, love that. Beautiful. Well, as always, listeners at home, we will be uploading all the recommendations that we just talked about. Any films that we've enjoyed or loved, you'll find that on our website under the Our Lists tab, so you can go and check those out. And yeah, when you do, send us through your opinions. We'd love to hear your response. And yeah, but I
Awesome.
think that comes to the end
To
of
the end.
episode.
Ep
Firstly,
5. Finito.
that was
A lot-
unreal.
a
So
lot
such
quicker
a
than I
great,
thought.
such
Yeah.
a great
It just
insight.
goes, doesn't it? Eh? Like you just
Yeah.
talk and talk, and like it's just how it feels. It just goes. So every time we always have that discussion, how quick it feels like it goes. But no, that was brilliant. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, really great insight
thanks for
into
having
the
me,
world of
guys.
film.
And
Yeah.
it's hard to obviously get Jordan because he does live in Sydney. So
He
we're also
does,
very
yes.
appreciative of you coming out to the burbs in my area
Yes, taking your time.
and taking your time. It's very much appreciated.
It's always great to see you.
Oh, you too, Timmy.
And
Nice
we
guy
and
too.
we
It's nice to meet you.
oh,
Yeah, nice, bro. Bro.
before we end, where can we find some of your work? Is it being uploaded or?
Oh, right. So, I should post more on my Instagram, but
Yeah.
like my photography stuff, and I take stills from the films that I shot on my Instagram as well.
Mhm.
But I recently created a show reel.
Yep.
And yeah, it's
Ooh,
on my
awesome.
it's on my Vimeo if you guys want to have a look
Ooh,
at that.
for sure.
Perfect.
We'll suss that out for sure.
Yeah, that's just a show reel of the work I did throughout uni. So
Yep.
throughout the 3 years I was at uni.
Yep.
Yeah. So you could find that.
Perfect.
I don't have a website.
Yeah, that's okay.
I really should have a website, but yeah, I don't know why I don't have one. But yeah, there you go.
That's all good. Listeners at home, we'll definitely get all that information out to you so you can have a look at Jordan's work and keep up to date
Thank
with
you.
what he's been creating. But once again, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed it. And
That's
yeah,
great.
thank you for the lovely insight. It was great.
Awesome work. And to everyone at home, thank you. Again, we are appreciative of your time and effort. We understand it's not always easy to pull out an hour of your day to chime in and listen to these beautiful young souls. But when you do, we are very much appreciative of that and grateful. So your viewership keeps us going, keeps us alive, and keeps us thriving. So we'll just keep to bringing more episodes for you. So Yeah.
Yes, definitely more to come, that's for sure. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, T. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Tim. Thank you, Jordan.
And we will see you all in the next one.
Thank you. Bye bye.